What is up, wrestling fans? Double V is back in the house, and today I am reviewing TNA's Rebellion, which aired last night on the 20th of April. Good pay-per-view, man. Really, really good pay-per-view. If you're into wrestling and you're into TNA, do be sure to give the video a like, and please do be sure to subscribe to the channel if wrestling is your jam. But without further ado, what I do here on the channel, I apparently am the assigned TNA guy, and Impact each week, we do interviews of TNA wrestlers. Today, though, name of the game is review this Rebellion card, and man, it was a goodie. It was a goodie. Not perfect, far from perfect, in fact, but it had a lot to offer, and it started in crazy fashion with the X Division title, Mustafa Ali against Jake something, and I'll tell you what, man, these guys came to play. There were two spots I have legit never seen before. So it was your typical big man versus small man stuff, essentially. But it was, I say typical, they kind of put a new spin on it. There was this one spot where Jake had Ali at the cross section of the turnbuckle, so he had him placed on top, kind of like Nakamura does with his running knee, and he kicks him so hard that Ali flies up, he catches him, and then power slams him. This was incredible. But the match was, that was a personal highlight, but the match was all manner of strength versus speed combos. Look, I'll be real, this match was absolute fire. These guys came to play, as I said. Jake something is a genetic freak of nature. A man his size doing the things he does so effortlessly, that's not normal. And I know that Ali has been on like this 8-month unbeaten run across all promotions. I've had the pleasure of seeing Mustafa Ali live in the UK at Rev Pro. Hands down, between the Rev Pro matches, the New Japan stuff, this is the best I've seen Ali in the last 8 months. The match was unbelievable. Slightly let down by a wonky ending with, some nefarious means of Ali's entourage getting involved, landing a 450 and then doing a surprise roll-up, holding the bottom rope. I get what they're doing. They're basically, the TNA are making Ali, winning by any means necessary, being a dastardly heel. But the match was of such a good quality, I actually think they could have ended this match in a more purist way. But listen, it did what it had to do. Ali retains. And then, ladies and gentlemen, say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I have not made any mystery of the fact that Joe Hendry is my favorite TNA wrestler. His match here against Rich Swann, this was so much fun. This was so much fun. Joe Hendry introduces the concept of Hendry Mania and his AI ring entrance vid that took the mick out of Swan and Francis. It basically inserted them into his video and had them doing the wave their hands from side to side thing. It was just banter. I have to say, the two wrestlers in the world at the moment who have got their banter on lockdown are Drew McIntyre and Joe Hendry. Both Scottish, ironically. These two are so good at what they do at the moment. But Joe Hendry, oh, I love this guy. He is freaking gold. The match went through a slightly formulaic ebb and flow. Then just when Francis was about to clock Henry with the big old chain, Sean Merriman, who, listen, I had to Google his name, but he's an NFL star. He gets involved, stops Francis from doing it, then decides to freaking smash Joe Hendry. And I was like, yeah, not cool. Not cool. Swan lands the big frog splash. Swan has actually got an underrated frog splash, in my opinion. Picks up the win. Here's me gutted. One criticism here, though. 2 matches in a row, ending in nefarious means. This match did make First Class look like a cohesive unit. So Hendry, this feud is not over. For sure it's not over. But Hendry's going to need to go and now find some backup, I believe. Then we followed with Eric Young and Kaz in a Full Metal Mayhem match. It was good. It was really, really good. Listen, if you haven't watched the Full Metal Mayhem match before, it's essentially TLC without the, climb the ladder stipulation. There were some fantastic spots here. A throwback to TNA legend Abyss when Young brought out Janice. If you don't know, that's basically a bat that's been covered in nails. A spear from in to out through the table that Kaz landed on Eric Young. Baking sheets over the head, which I was listen, in a post-Chris Benoit world, it does make me go a little bit, oof, easy with the headshots there, guys. Kaz being inside of a bin and then being twatted by Eric Young using a chain, that was fun. Um, I mean, also credit to the TNA crowd here, because when Kaz brought a table back into the ring, they all started chanting, "We want fire," and I was like, "It's not that this rivalry's good, but it's not as deep to the level where you actually need to bring fire to the party. Not yet, at least." But it ended beautifully. Top rope flux capacitor through the table. Eric Young's head got really badly split open on the spot, and it wasn't blading or anything. Like, he legit got cut up. But yeah, lots of fun this match. Kaz gets the win. We then had a huge surprise because, yeah, the old Macklin came out and he was like, "Yeah, I've got the contract done, everything I wanted from the contract has happened." But he comes out basically saying the one thing he doesn't have is a match on Rebellion. So he wants an impromptu match. Santino Marella comes out and he's happy to announce a new signing was just made. None other than old Mike Santana. Now, a lot of you may know Mike Santana from AEW. A lot of you may know him from old TNA or Impact days. So it's cool to see him as a single star. I think they're going to do good things with him. What to add to this? Obviously, this was always going to end with the Santana victory, but it had a nice pop to reintroduce this star. Now, the segment that followed this actually got under my skin quite a bit, because we're backstage with the system. A question is addressed directly to Alicia Edwards, but Eddie Edwards kind of comes and goes, "Oh, let me answer for her." And it's Eddie Edwards who answers, and he speaks for her. I don't know, man. And then Brian Myers steps in, and he starts speaking. In a world where we're striving for women's wrestlers to be given equal opportunity, this didn't come off right at all. And it continues. It's not the first time they've done this to Alicia. There was a really good segment a few weeks ago where it was a backstage segment, and they were talking about the various accomplishments of each member of the system, and it was good. And in that system, I'm like, okay, cool. Now bring in Alicia. She's not holding gold, but like, first ever couples Metal Mayhem match, record holder, the longest match in women's wrestling history, the longest title reign of any women's wrestler in any promotion in women's wrestling history. Like Alicia Edwards, friend of the channel, we interviewed her recently. Go check the video out now. She's got so many amazing accolades to her name, and TNA didn't even shine a light on her then, and now she's not even allowed to speak on the mic. It's not right. All three men in the system spoke. Moose then got on, but the person who the question was directed to, as I said, Alicia Edwards, didn't say a word. And then when the camera panned out from Moose, she was just gone, as if by magic. Do better by Alicia, TNA. I didn't like this. It actually really, really peed me off. But obviously from that, we then get into the World Tag Title match. Now, of course, this was fantastic. Speedball Mountain versus the system. Oh, do you know what? It felt very, very old school in some ways, because in the best possible way, because it was proper tag team wrestling, loads of double team combinations. From Speedball Mountain, the screw kick into a dragon suplex, and on the system side, the backpack stunner into an elbow drop. Superb stuff. Just awesome. The system were always obviously going to win this, though. And no beef. This made all the sense in the world. The top stable in TNA continues to be the top stable. Although it did give me a bit of worry for Nick Nemeth. I'm like, if this is how they're presenting the system, the writing might be on the wall for the main event. Now, I may be speaking sacrilegiously here, but we then got on to Josh Alexander versus Hammerstone in the 6th match. And, yeah, man, look, the initial phases were a bit slow for my liking. It was highly tactical, though. Josh trying to apply the ankle lock to prevent Hammerstone getting up. It's a last man standing match, so that obviously made the world of sense. But it was very slow and laborious. We then had a really cool spot, though. The thumbtacks come out. Well, the black bag comes out, and everyone knows what's in the black bag. Here's the thumbtacks. The spot here was amazing. So you've got both of them on the top rope. The thumbtacks are just down below. and Josh Alexander's trying to superplex Hammerstone onto the thumbtacks. But we all know the rule in wrestling: you set it, you get it. You set it, you eat it. Hammerstone stopped the superplex, and he delivers. He delivered a top rope nightmare pendulum onto the thumbtacks, and the face that Alexander pulled in pain afterwards. I don't think I was being worked there. That spot looked horrendous, embedded with thumbtacks. I mean, like everywhere. Anyway, what was weird is that we went from this really high octane spot to the ending, which to me was a bit flat. So they end up on the outside on the ramp, which, you know, we're led to believe is metal or hard steel or whatever. Josh does a half and half, and then straight away from that, he lands his C4 spike onto the stage outside. Now, obviously, because they're outside, there has to be an element of protection that comes in here. So he couldn't land the C4 spike with the same normal level of oomph that he does normally. So this felt very, very, very protected, and it's so protected, in fact, that I couldn't suspend disbelief. But anyway, Hammerstone didn't get up. I'll be real, I'd actually kind of like this feud to end now. Both men need to move on to something else. The match had some fun spots, but overall I found it a bit underwhelming. But then it was bonkers. We get to the Knockout Championship, Knockout Gold. Jordan Grace versus Steph DeLander. This was nuts. This was absolutely bonkers. They did some good stuff to highlight how much bigger SDL is compared to Jordan. A good few minutes of back and forth. Then the good hands get involved. Now work with me on this, because this turned into literally a nefarious train. So the good hands get involved. Mess with Jordan a bit. Then PCO gets involved to come and save Jordan, because of course we have to get PCO onto the pay-per-view. That's, you know, he's a crowd favorite. Then Con gets involved, which I didn't like because I thought their feud was done after Impact 2 weeks ago. But Con gets involved, comes and squashes Jordan. But then was cool. We got the return of Sami Callihan, who just wrecked Con, wrecked everyone. He throws SDL back in the ring. Jordan Grace lands the Juggernaut Driver. 1, 2, 3. Jordan retains, but they did a brilliant job here of emphasizing that she really was up against it. And it does make me question, like, I don't think she's going to have a particularly long title reign. She's been holding it a few months now. I think, you know, if I had to guess, it's either going to be Alicia Edwards or Ash by Elegance, both friends of the channel, who are going to take this from her. Main event time. So, Moose, the world champion, the TNA world champion, versus the wanted man, Nick Nemeth. And I'm really sad to say I don't think this match lived up to the frankly excellent build. Nick ran roughshod on Moose, which was great to see. Loads of famouses landed, super kicks, even a spear. And it was just near fall after near fall after near fall after near fall, which was good. There's an argument to be made that Nick, for most of this match, actually dominated Moose, which, considering his pedigree, I emphasize again, is a good thing. However, there were just too many botch spots in this match for my liking. Moose tried to do that second backflip into a super kick, receiving a super kick, which they messed up. The spear was partially messed up. He oversold a lot of things too, and I can't remember all of the botch spots, but there were quite a few. Oh, yeah, here's one. So, Moose lands his big spear, which I maintain one of the best spears in wrestling. Rolls Nick up, and Nick's shoulders are both on the ground. But then, for some reason, I don't know why they did this. Moose grabs his arm, and you can see him roll it towards him. So his Nick Nemeth's shoulder ends up like a good foot off the ground. Now, it's not one of those, was he, wasn't he, was it a few centimeters or a few inches off? No, this was a good foot off the ground. When your pin is botched that badly, in my humble opinion, you really should call an audible and rerun the spot. Two great wrestlers, but they didn't have the best chemistry with each other, sadly. Moose retains, the system continued to look dominant, then the lights go out, and you just hear, and we get another big surprise at the end of the match. none other than broken Matt Hardy shows up, which I'm curious to see what they do with him. He puts the twist of fate on Moose. He does his delete bit. So on a positive, this tells me TNA are really gonna get behind Moose because having beaten Nemeth, he's now gonna beat another legend in Matt Hardy. There is no way that Matt Hardy's beating Moose, and he's gonna beat Matt Hardy, I imagine, in the not too distant future. And that'll continue to build him as an unstoppable monster. It'll continue to reaffirm the system as the top stable in TNA. And I tell you what, if they continue at this rate, put Gold on Alicia, you got to put them in contention already in the month of April as one of the stables of the year. You just have to. So, look, all in all, was this a perfect pay-per-view? No, obviously not. But the two standout matches for me were the tag titles, Speedball Mountain in the system, and that open, man, Jake Something and Ali. That was sensational. Not perfect, but really, really good. Kept the ball moving, kept the story moving. And yeah, I want to know what you guys think. If you liked Rebellion, let me know down below. If you saw things in Rebellion that you weren't quite fond of, then yeah, comment section below. Let's have a discussion. Let's see what you guys think. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button. Give the video a like if you like TNA Wrestling and you want to support a channel that's actually supporting TNA Wrestling. Then we're the guys for you. I'm Double V, the Viceroy of Verisimilitude, right here for the Ministry of Wrestling, and we will see you right here again on the channel very soon for more TNA Wrestling goodness. Bye for now.